Now we're going to shift gears, no pun intended, because we're taking a cruise to Cornfield Customs. Join us as we go behind the scenes of this local high-end fabrication hot rod shop and introduce you to the man behind the metal. It's about to get noisy in here.
The showroom, it's pretty much a couple cool cars that greet everybody when they first come in to get them excited about what we do here, and I'll show you around.
Woohoo! Welcome to Cornfield Customs, a high-end fabrication, coach building, and hot rod shop in Milford, Ohio, owned and operated by this guy, Mike Wagner. He's been building and welding cars since high school and is a bit of a one-man band with a simplistic approach to his craft.
It's one of those things where it's everything I work on, like it could be a $5,000 car, it could be a $10 million car. To me, it's just a pile of metal and pieces. It can all be fixed, it can all be put back together. I'm not gonna hurt it any worse than it is when it's here.
Yes, it's bold and blunt, but what do you expect from someone who crafts and ships cars to people from all around the world? He's worked on everything from a 61 Aston Martin ZB Zagato to a 1950 Rolls Royce and a 64 Lambo 250 GT. The list really goes on.
If I have a bucket list car, I'll achieve that bucket list car someday, and then what will I have? So it's constantly evolving. There's no such thing as favorites. The ones I found most exciting are cars I didn't even know exist. Like never heard of in my life. Somebody shows up with one, hey, can you fix this? Can you make this part? And I'm like, I don't even know what this is. But yeah, and then it's like, wow, this is a really interesting project that I didn't even know was real.
That's not even the coolest part. Mike also designs and fabricates custom cars about once a year. For example, he's crafting a land speed car with the hopes of breaking records.
It's a personal car. The chassis, suspension, everything I designed and built, the body profile. I worked with a couple other artists and designers to get the style I want.
So before, after. Before, after. Set some world records, eh?
Hopefully, that's the goal.
That's the goal. Oh, and Mike is a bit of a historian and collector. His shop showcases old design renderings, vintage equipment, and even retired restaurant signs.
This machine hung in the Bellevue Brewing Company, downtown Cincinnati, from 1913-ish until they went out of business in 1909 from Prohibition, and then it sat untouched until I got it 4 years ago.
So you could say there's plenty of conversation starters at Cornfield Customs, and Mike makes sure that he keeps that conversation going over social media. Every Sunday, he answers any and all life, fabrication, and industry questions. Because for him, it's more than just building a car.
I hope every car that I ever touch, gets driven, gets road chips, all that stuff. It's all about the journey, not the destination for me. That's why when I get cars done, I love the vehicle and what I've done, but I'm glad to see it go because I don't care about the destination. I want what's happening from point A to point B to be the exciting point.
Allie, you find the best stories, the best people. Oh my goodness, I never knew he existed. So
shout out to Helen on that one, producer Helen.
Yeah, that Helen, she's so great. All right, so how many different cars is he working on right now?
Great question, because I had to go through all my footage and look through his shop. It's roughly 9 or 10 different cars that he's currently working on. Now, keep in mind, one of the questions that I also asked him was, do you have a crew behind the scenes and working with you? There was a point in time that he did hire on a couple guys, but he actually does all of that work solo, and that really surprised me. So I'm thinking, oh my goodness, from a project management standpoint, that is really, really impressive. But that also just proves the point of his mindset, where people will say, well, he's blunt and honest and he's a straight shooter, but that's what keeps that grind going and why he's so successful, because he's not afraid to touch those really high-end cars. He's saying he's worked on 6, sometimes 7-figure cars, which is incredible. But then at the end of the day, the love for the cars that he has, he likes that back-end story, he likes the journey, and he still loves driving them, which is the coolest part, because sometimes those cars will sit, when you revamp a $600,000 car, it'll just sit in a garage.
Yeah,
but he doesn't do that.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know what? I know you didn't drive one, but did you get to sit in one at least?
I think tried to sit in one, that one actually right there. So that's a Shelby Daytona Coupe, that blue car. I attempted to sit in it, and yes, I did get in, but I would never be able to drive it due to my legs, believe it or not. I could extend my feet all the way, but if I wanted to clutch or shift gears, that was not happening. So, but he drives that too. So there's no moving those seats back. It's pretty locked in.
Wow. Well, he sounds like he's really active on social. So what's the best way to engage with him?
Yeah, that's a really good point, because Mike, every Sunday, I would say Instagram and on Facebook, but specifically on Sundays, Mike will say, hey, ask me anything on Instagram. And he gets a lot of followers who are really invested in what he does. So whether it's about welding and cars itself to even just, life and mental health or entrepreneurship, he's really there to kind of ask and answer any and all questions. So he's a bit of an open book, which is really awesome if you're interested in anything that he's doing. So check him out on Facebook and on Instagram at Cornfield Customs.
Thank you, Allie. Great job, as always.